Yeesh versus Miniorek, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. We're going over to from Vixen to Dasher, as it were, and well, let's see. Yeesh started this off losing 9-3 to Pofke here in the group stages, which is a frustrating first matchup for us casters because both are talented players who have played for a very long time but haven't played as much recently. So our primary concern for both was, will they be rusty? So naturally, they face each other, which means we can't really draw any initial conclusion about either. But certainly a surprising result still, Pofke winning 9-3. But then Yeesh turns around and defeats Sonolator 11-1, a very classic Yeesh margin of victory in a cup group stage match, fair to say, has been dominant in the group stages in all cups, but has never gotten out of the first round of the Winter Cup. Played in 2. This is Yeesh's third Winter Cup out of 4, and check this out. Yeesh is 6-0 in those group stage matches. Leading into this, but 0-2 in the knockout brackets, losing by a combined score of 14-3. Very odd, very a tale of two tournaments there for Yeesh.
Yes.
Between group stages and knockout brackets. Just 2 tournaments, just 2 matches. It's a small sample size, but writing boisterous narratives from small sample sizes is pretty much the job description of a caster.
All right, and I do have our first game up and ready. Yeesh on the spy side has Bling Twin on the high rise, and he 4 of 8. So are you ready, Track?
I am ready. Let's go.
All right, let's get into it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I am slightly disappointed that Yeesh is playing 4-8 because Yeesh is one of the handful of players of any level, let alone top players, who defends the idea of leaving microfilm on high-rise when given the option, instead of Purloin, instead of Fingerprint, which are the much more common options. Yeesh has been arguing for that publicly, and they make a decent case. I'm not persuaded, but I am impressed by the strength of the case they make relative to what I would have expected, let's put it that way. You could just say it's the kind of thing that works for Yeesh, but not for us mere mortal spies. Regardless, with 4 of 8, they don't have to make that decision. It is all on.
All on, but you need one more mission to actually complete and get to that countdown. And we started off pretty slowly. I feel like this is pretty classical Yeesh. Yeesh, you know, doesn't like to be too aggressive too early, likes to get early flirts, kind of get that soft tail progress. Something that I recognized. I did this research a couple of years back, so it might have changed.
I remember
a little bit
SCL5 Gold Finals with the early flirts. You exploited them quite a bit in the early going. Did not quite end up winning because Yeesh's sniper was just too good that set, but you made a very good match of it as a result.
Yeah, not quite just the early flirts. Often likes early fingerprints as well. Like one early fingerprint, maybe 1 or 2 early flirts, one early fingerprint before getting any kind of hardtail progress. Typically for Yeesh.
Yeah, there's the flirt, 50%. So, not a whole lot going on here. There's only 2 minutes left, but it is high rise. But it's also 4 of 8. It's not 3 of 5. You can't just do that Purloin into bug like we saw from Lagorv before. You can't just reach mission win countdown out of nowhere here. You do need to plan better. And that's probably one of the reasons Yeesh likes this, is because I would say they are one of the best planning spies in the game.
Yeah, at least when not rusty. Of course, you had some issues against Pofke, right? As you mentioned already.
But it's Pofke, right? So the question is, rusty Yeesh or on-point Pofke? And Pofke has looked really good otherwise, so I tend to think it has actually had more to do with Pofke than Yeesh there. We have the contact done. It's into a drink take, but there is no Purloin gone. Miniorek double zoomed on it, making absolutely sure the list is still there. Seduce is 2/3 of the way done, though. And that's a big deal, because if we get one more in, suddenly we have a lot of ways to finish. We are heading over to the side here. Is it going to be Fingerprint? It is indeed. It's not the early fingerprint you mentioned. Is that even a fingerprintable briefcase, though?
It's not. It's not.
It is not. It's clean. And the question is, did we know that? I'm going to say no.
The question is, does Miniorek know that? Oh, we go for a bug, but I don't think it's going to take it.
Doesn't matter. Miniorek is all over it, even with the clean briefcase, even with the sip cancel. The bug path alone after the contact is enough. Miniorek looking good.
I think Miniorek just straight up saw that. Like you can glimpse that hand sticking out for a moment.
Wow.
Miniorek watches for bug very carefully, knows that is exactly what that was, and we're gonna get on into our second game nice and quickly here. Miniorek on the spy side as Duke. Let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We talked about the group stages for Yeesh so far. Miniorek 10-2 over Sonolator. Whoop.
Look at this little. What is this ridiculousness?
Oh boy. It's wow. Quite a pileup. 1-7-2 over Sonolator. Miniorek did. Also lost to Pofke, but just 7-5, and then 9-3 over Mega Parsec. So Miniorek definitely starting strong here. One narrow loss to Pofke, who seems to be particularly hot in the early going. So I think we have our answer, at least about Pofke, as far as the Rust question is concerned. And with Yeesh, I would say a little harder to say.
Yeah, for sure. We do get the early green flirt here. We don't try to get the full inspects. It's just a single cycle, and that is something that Yeesh will definitely notice, and, you know, will not credit the full inspects for being there for only one cycle, especially with another character there. You know, Duke couldn't possibly have that full inspects, and that is something that Miniorek knows, that Yeesh will know, that, you know... the mind games yell me back and forth. I know that you know that this isn't actually full inspects.
Yeah, I mean, this is the fun part about two really high-level snipers, right? I alluded to it in the previous match where both snipers are playing well, and you assume that one print can win you the game because their mission count is going to be very good, and with Miniorek and Yeesh, you're playing that same kind of game, right? Where cheesing something very small can actually be very significant because the sniper is not as likely to assume they miss something because they don't generally miss things. It's the one way you can turn a really strong sniper against them.
Yeah, that is oftentimes how you have to play it.
Sharpest snipers are also the most brittle, generally speaking. That is a iffy low... Yeah, there's a mixed deep BB there. Mixed BB, we got 3 lowlights for it, and it's really narrowed down. The contact is done, of course. The inspect only partially, and the second one's always a big deal. We're going to try to finish the flirt here, and this actually matters quite a bit with 100 seconds left.
Yeah, Miniorek, let's see if we can get this second green flirt. No, 85%. It's a percent you don't really ever want to see.
It's a sad number. It's a pretty sad number.
Like, you don't want to see 85%, but you're also not too upset about it just because it's like, yeah, okay, one more flirt from anywhere.
Well, I was going to say not a big deal on 3-5, but on 4-8, that matters a great deal more, especially because it seems like we are going to hang out here a little bit. Interesting to see. Maybe we were waiting to see if we got a reject there and we jump on the chain, but we don't, unfortunately. Our seduction target takes the drink. Normally, if you're trying to do someone, that might be a good thing, but in this case, I think you'd rather have the reject to give yourself an option. We do request right afterwards, though. There's the highlight for the request, and if Yeesh is noticing the drink request being given, it's for the fingerprint, I think, too, but we also were offered twice in a short period of time. Yeesh is all over it, and that bodes very badly for Mini. Yeah,
I don't think you can get away with this. We're literally the only highlight in this party. Low lights coming off. You see Salmon take a low light.
Wow.
And it's just, how do you complete missions here without dying? And I feel like you don't.
I don't think you do. I think you need some help, and I don't know if this party's going to give it to you. And it might not matter if you get it at this point. Yeah, this is exactly what we don't want. 4 low lights. You're the only highlight. You just double sipped at windows to finish out your drink.
That's legal. That's legal.
It's legal, but you know, if you're the only highlight, I think it's going to be noticed. You're going to finish up inspects here.
Is this fingerprintable? It is fingerprintable, but we miss
the difficult. Does not hit, and we're going to swap instead as a result. We're going to swap before inspect. I don't think that's how you wanted to do that, and Yeesh says, no. You are the only suspect in this party, and even if you weren't, I don't think that works.
I think, incredibly enough, we have a decent shot at winning that game if we hit that difficult fingerprint.
Maybe. Because it's a tough shot otherwise, but we're the only person there, and maybe the only person finishing inspects.
Well, so the thing is that Yeesh only shot after seeing our inspects, and maybe even if you, like, wait for overtime, if we get the green fingerprint, we don't have to spend the time to do the action test for swap. We could get the inspects quickly and not even have any overtime. I think that was a legitimately scary opportunity for Miniorek to finish if that green fingerprint had come through, but unfortunately, it does not. Yeesh sees the swap, and it's tied up out of the first venue. Let's get we have more high-rise. It's just more high-rise.
I was going to say, you say the first venue. It is also the second venue. The mission setup is new. The location
I'm feeling some serious deja vu with Duke on high-rise.
They're Duke on high-rise, and what did I say earlier? Yeesh, one of the few players who, even on 3-5, would leave on microfilm, lo and behold.
Yes, there it is. Let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Interesting. We turn off inspects and purloin and keep on fingerprint. The microfilm thing, kind of expected, not for generic spy, but for Yeesh. But the fact that the other mission isn't what I expected either. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Statues off is just so weird to me. Like, I feel like just statues have to be better than fingerprint.
Probably, and AIs do complete that semi-often, at least relative to fingerprint. But it does create a space where if there's not a fingerprint on the statue and the sniper is confident of it, it's a 100% I'm wasting time space. And Yeesh is the kind of spy who will do that and does extract benefit from a purely innocuous place to go that they will still be very much seen going to.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh boy, 24% on the first flirt. We walk away from that, so we don't have to, wait for that cooldown as long as we might have otherwise. But how long do we stand here with the cooldown already done? That's a question for Yeesh to answer.
Yeah, we definitely took our time. Both spies did kind of until the end there before. And the seduction target leaves as soon as we do, and we leave immediately too.
That's if Miniorek saw that, that's just like, okay, you're the spy, or there was a red test flirt, and so I can narrow it down to like these 3 people. But I don't think Miniorek really would have expected that, you know.
That's pretty interesting. We don't even follow them, though. We just go to the windows, and I think at that point, you might as well have just stayed in the conversation and followed them later. I'm not sure that would be any more or less suspicious, but it's a split-second decision, and those ones are tough.
Yeah, 75% now with the second green flirt. A, you know, decently close white will finish that. There's quite a bit of margin there. We stop talk. I guess we had done a cycle before gulping our drink, but is this a fingerprintable drink?
I don't believe it is.
No, it is.
Yep. No, I'm wrong. I forgot. Though. That's one of the ones that does not show up on the timeline. I should have remembered that. Fix the bug. Let's go. Fix your game. Fix your game. No, it's an early access, people.
Oh, if Checker quote unquote fixes that, I'm gonna have to like change my win predictor.
Yeah.
Like...
Hey, you and me both, but it's a good problem to have, I will say. More information rather than less. And by the way, this is the second time in the set already that Duke has been highlighted for a fingerprint on high rise off a drink.
Yeah, a serious deja vu.
Yeah, seriously. Deja Duke, yeah? Or Duke View. No, that doesn't work.
No, that doesn't quite...
You need the syllables. The syllables have to line up,
yeah.
is what I think is going on. We did hang around long enough to finish the seduce, and we do have that fingerprint half done. And a reminder, this is 3, not 4 now, so it's very different. We're going into statues, though, and there better be a fingerprint here, or Yeesh has miscalculated terribly.
There is one. There is one.
Not. There it is, indeed. But it is not a difficult. It is a little more aggressive there, especially because we got a highlight for the first one. Miniorek's not going to shoot right away if they don't have to, though, but there's been no contact. So will they still wait it out? They are staring at Yeesh. They take the shot now, or they wait for the contact. Here we go. They do not take it yet, and they would have by now if they were going to. So they're going to wait. The mission count is strong with this one. Here we go. I think this is probably going to be death on contact.
Yeah, it's such a bad contact, too. There's so few people in conversation.
You have 20 seconds. It's this or nothing, probably. There we go.
It got a little bit better.
At least Orange Sorry can get one in the other one. This is as good as it's going to get. You got to do it right now. It is a green test. Mini has about 7 seconds.
Watching for the purloin.
The drink take tempts them, and they're taking lowlights instead. Yeesh is going to get away with this. I wonder if the drink take actually made the difference there.
Yeah, and maybe Yeesh making me eat my own words here with the inspects better than fingerprints. Because
I don't know.
Because, you know, the difficulty with fingerprints is that if you assume the sniper is perfectly tracking them, it's kind of worse to have fingerprints than inspects, because it takes more effort for any one character to get full fingerprints, right? However, with fingerprints, there's a little bit more of a chance that maybe the sniper isn't all the way on top of it.
Well, to that end, I just checked, and that fingerprint was sitting on that statue since the beginning of the game. It was one of the first things the ambassador did. It was 2+ minutes, and I think that explains it all. We were watched close for the swap. We know we're worried about inspects, we're worried about whatever, but I do not think we credited that second fingerprint there at the end, and I think that's why the shot didn't come off. That's why we're looking at the list, because we figure it's contact into Purloin. Purloin's the third mission. Nope, fingerprint sat there 2+ minutes, and that is tough for any sniper to be sure about.
Yeah, and we are going to go into this next one here. Miniorek on the spider side is Rocker. We have inspects off again. Instead we have swap on.
Swap.
Fascinating. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into this game in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
When we have seen swap work on high-rise 3-5, it has almost always been the far right statue, one of those two, wall, bug, or purloin, or both, are vulnerable back in one of the main conversations. That is when I have seen it work the most. I say most because most is a relative term. I have not seen it work a lot. But when it has worked, that is usually the form the victory is taken.
Yeah, and with the inspects off, you know, maybe there's a little bit less reason to go over there and, you know, look at those statues when that is in danger, right? So maybe Miniorek saying, okay, I'm gonna turn on the inspects off, so there's a little bit less mission density where I'm trying to swap. And because there's less mission density, you're gonna be paying less attention to it. You're not gonna be, you might let me slip by, get to a statue, you don't remember me there, I swap, maybe you don't see it, or if you do, I'm just getting away with it. right?
Well, I
So
mean, it's you force the sniper into a simple choice, and if there are more threats on the other side of the venue and things that spies prefer to do, like Purloin and Bug, I mean, it's just a simple probability. Sometimes you can take that long hallway view and get the look at the statue and what's happening in one of those conversations, but that's rare. Sometimes you can't. Usually, you're giving up at least one mission, and it's almost always a mission that is done much more often than swap, especially on high rise. So that's the thing. You're using a sniper's sound judgment against them. Again, these are the ways you beat the really good snipers.
no Purloin here from Miniorek. Of course, we are just kind of right in the sniper's face, so rejecting for a Purloin here would be maybe a bit of a mistake. Especially look at this. You know, you're gonna see that fade. You should always gonna see that fade.
Yeah, I think so. There are a lot of angles on high rise where no matter how hard you try, you cannot get a good look at that list as it comes back up when both these conversations are full. But if it can be seen, Yeesh is making a point to see it.
Oh, we get the Twitch bug. I don't think Yeesh saw that.
Wow. Wow. That would really be something if we got away with that. And Yeesh, again, a really good sniper. This is the kind of thing you use against them. When you do get away with the bug, they don't like to assume it, especially on high rise. That is a gutsy, very good bug. We are still being watched, but I think we're monitoring the right side a little bit more. Nothing about Yeesh's camera suggests they saw the bug. They would be able to hide it. They are capable of hiding it, no doubt about it. But right now, Miniorek looking pretty good, and I think your little calculator there agrees.
Oh, absolutely. We're at 72.5% chance for the spy to win. Practically speaking, with this spy and this sniper, I think it's a little bit higher. But of course, you know, the machine does not have that context of who exactly is playing, right?
No, right.
And so the fact that we have this bug clean against Yeesh of all people means that this game could just be in the bag. However, Double Agent is leaving a conversation. We do need 2 more missions despite it all. We might have to go in. I would have said inspects, but that's not on. Inspects don't exist right now.
Inspects aren't on, yeah. And to be perfectly honest, how often do you turn inspects off if you know for a fact you might get off a god bug?
Yeah,
I don't know if you would like
think
it
you
then.
do. But
Yeah.
Double Agent does rejoin conversation. We could go rush back there with this book.
It's a decent time. This is
Yeah.
a decent BB too. This is not this is not aggressive, even though you have to be aggressive with this little time left. You can avoid OT if you hit it right here. Someone leaves, but you'll take it. It's a green test. It happens shortly after we enter, but there's just no indication we're a suspect. Can Yeesh actually find this shot? It would be very unlike them, and that's going to be the case. Miniorek answers with a spy win of their own on high rise 3-5.
I did just notice a weird quirk of my win predictor, by the way. So when, unsurprisingly, you'll find that when time starts to get below like 10 seconds, it's like, oh, your chances go way down. However, in mission when we're in mission win countdown, we know that doesn't matter. The program doesn't, so it's like, yes, your odds are going down despite the fact that mission win countdown is almost over.
We know better. We saw that laser movement, and no rise of the machines just yet.
Yeah, no,
Let's just put it that way.
a little bit of a blind spot. I'm not actually sure how to fix that. I'll be honest.
Don't worry about it.
But that's okay. I'd say it had the right idea after the contact. It gave us 87% as mission win countdown started. And I'd say that's about right.
Fair enough.
And
On to
Miniorek,
Courtyard.
Miniorek strikes back on the spy side. We now are on to the 3 of 5 Courtyard setup. Quite a few guests, as well. Low time though, so you're gonna make things get moving. Essentially, let's get on to it. We see another. Actually, no, not another Kane game. This is the first one for this set. Let's get it going. In 3. Oh, never mind. In 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
This setup in particular, I think, this is where action test rate becomes much more important, because that flirt will absolutely bite you if you don't have a higher green rate or even a decent green rate. I think you want anyone, I think, I'm going to say south of 50% on the greens, and there we go. It's a 38, but it's a green. I don't know what I think about that, but either way, I think that's where you're really going to feel it.
Yeah, we go immediately into the inspects here. He's just saying, all right, look, I'm gonna do the inspects flirt contact thing, and if you shoot me, you shoot me. You know, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, early inspects, people don't like it. Occasionally, back in the day in particular, we used to see people low light for early inspects, and you still see that sometimes because spies hate to do it. They hate to glow the whole game while they're doing other missions. But the thing is, normally, the logic there is I don't want to do something like a bug or a swap or a purloin while I'm glowing. If you have no intention of doing something like that, if it's soft tails anyway, and you're up against a sniper that you have every reason to believe is going to track those soft tails anyway, then the downside of that early highlight is significantly mitigated.
On our flirt. That's kind of dangerous, especially when we've already got the already have the the inspects here with the highlight. Doing that stop talk is a bit dangerous. Of course, Ambassador was in a little bit of danger, so maybe you thought I can get away with this. And if I'm not seen talking, that might just give me a better chance to win this. Look at this fake; it's beautiful. Yeah. I don't think there are any lowlights for that. We take it one onto Ponytail, but it's only one low light. We're not even in for, a reel in the sniper's view. We go back to statues. We're trying to be as behaviorally kosher as possible.
Yeah, look, so the thing about that stop talk, it is risky, but this is one of the only setups where you might actually get benefit from it, because it's one of the only setups like Balcony, which is the other place you'll see stop talks on standard flirts much more often. The other ones being Library or Veranda or something where you're just not seen at all, so why not? The whole point is you had to have snipers, particularly good ones, trying to track the possibility the likelihood this character has flirt done.
And behind this courtyard statue, so there was no way we could have been seen doing that.
Yeah.
And how do you shoot this if you're Miniorek? You probably missed 2 of the flirts at least.
Well, you do it by crediting flirt. The whole point of the stop talk is to try to catch someone trying to track flirt in an area where it might give you an edge. There it is, we're done. But the thing is, if you ignore it, if you don't try to do it, if you're maybe a worse sniper, you're just crediting flirt and not worrying about it. And instead, because maybe you are trying to track it, Yeesh gets away with a soft tail victory.
Yeah, very, very nice game from Yeesh there.
3 spy wins in a row again. Yeah. It's happened in both sets now. Wow, that's a really strong game. And yeah, look, again, that is the only time it makes sense to do the stop talk, is when they're trying specifically to maybe track it, and you're up against a sniper who is good enough to do it. I think against an intermediate sniper, that doesn't work. Against an expert one, it does, and that's why it's so fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to get into the next game here. Miniorek on the spy side, trying to fire back. I feel like this setup might be a little bit spy-sided just because of how many guests there are in the 3 of 5 scenario, but snipers absolutely do have the chance to track flirts, to play behaviorally and find the spy despite all that. So we'll see if Yeesh can do it. Let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Your 3-2-1 is definitely the slowest. I want you to know that.
I will. Okay, thing is, my 3-2-1 is actually 3 seconds.
Because I believe you. Oh, I know. Oh, I'm sure it's accurate, and I'm not complaining. I just thought you should know that you definitely have the slowest 3-2-1.
Well, it's because I'm timing it with my 3-2-1 that's happening on my prediction tool.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So when I'm saying 3-2-1, it is exactly 3 seconds because I'm counting with a machine who knows how long seconds are.
No, that's good. It's got me a little worried because I'm realizing my 3-2-1 is probably 1.2. There's a lost seduction. A missed connection, a classified ad, definitely in Miniorek's future. I'm pretty old, aren't I? Anyway, no flirt, 2 minutes left, and we didn't have a lot of time to spare here in general.
Yeah, we just no.
I've never placed a classified ad. I'm just aware of them. That's all I'm saying. I'm just aware that they once existed.
It's like using Craigslist these days,
Is that old now too? My God.
Yes, that's old now.
Fake contact from Seek, and there we go again. Excellent. 2 relatively populated conversations. We're in one of them, not the real one, but nobody out. And that's the thing. If you're patient on Courtyard, when we get... interesting. The bigger conversation gets highlights for real, even though it wasn't real. So we have the highlight without getting the contact, and that is rough when you have no seduce until right now, of course. Unfortunately, it's a white test, and you cannot afford a white test at this junction in this game. We are almost out of time already, and guess what? Miniorek, as if they can hear me through time and space, is going to time out twice. First a white, then a green. Let's see what the spy chance win projection does there. Are we going to get like a 10% jump, maybe?
I'm seeing at least 7%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I mean, we are a highlight with no real progress.
That's true. That's true.
Otherwise, so.
But we absolutely needed it. And Miniorek, this is I love seeing this from good players. Right around the moment the casters, who do not have the stress of playing, are starting to make their dispassionate analysis about how likely they are to finish, the spies have that instinct right away. They look ahead about a minute and a half and see the time ad they're going to need before they need it. We see this all the time, right? Beginner players wait until the final 15 or 20 a lot. So the good players, they look ahead into the future, see whether or not they're going to need it, and do it earlier when it's less suspicious. That's what Miniorek's done here, but as you say, still having trouble finishing.
ST walked away from us again here. Oh, that's so brutal. And How do you continue here? It's another contact. A few more lowlights.
Oh, a lot of lowlights. We are assuming that there's not an outright fake going on. I think that's a reasonable assumption from Yeesh, and I'm not just saying that because we know for a fact it's the correct one. And look at that, 8 lowlights on Courtyard. This is very narrowed down. There's only a couple of highlights, and there's only about a minute and a half left, and the clocks are quickly converging.
Yes, they are, and it's still only 34%. We have to go into statues. We're going to go in next to our ST, but do we get shot here?
We might. And that's not going to finish the deuce either. It is going to get us up to 83%, though, so any flirt. 17 is the lowest flirt you can get, so if it takes, they're going to be done. And they're about to probably get inspects here. Can they get them both done?
Yes.
They're going to have to.
Oh, the shot comes off onto the other inspector in the late game.
Wow, and it's just a shot for complete, just for a soft tail complete, but it's the only other highlight other than Duke. There were only 3 highlights, and we've talked about this before as well, haven't we? If you're one of just a few highlights, that can obviously be very bad, and it's certainly a net negative, all else being considered. But it does mean that if one of the other AI highlights does something a little suspicious or seems to be finishing, that's all it takes.
What's interesting to me is that perhaps Yeesh was thinking, okay, if like 2 people go to the statues that I'm suspicious of at about the same time, shoot the second one. Because a spy might be sitting there thinking, I want to get an AI shot, and if they see an AI go to statues and not get shot, they'll be like, oh, okay, I guess I can do that and finish missions. In this case, unfortunately, it was actually the first visitor to the statue because we wanted to get that flirt at the statue, and Yeesh takes the wrong shot. And we're still even through this game. Next on to Modern, though.
Yeah, that was happening during the SIP as well, too. And hey, those time ads, they turned out to be absolutely necessary. They allowed the AI to complete. Both of them, too. One wouldn't have quite done it, because otherwise we would have been waiting for OT.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeesh playing as Smallman here on this next one. Let's get into it in 3, 2, 1. Playing it. I do think
let it be noted.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry.
I was going to say, to let it be noted, that it took until the 19th game of our cast for Smallman to make a spy appearance.
That's impressive. I feel like it happens earlier than that quite usually.
It usually does, but I also think that it's a reflection of the caliber of the players. I feel like the better players increasingly do not want to be stared at that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that the biggest chance I think Yeesh had last game was to catch those time ads, because especially since Miniorek kind of just did 2 watch checks in his face, and that's 2 watch checks alone is illegal in 1 visit. Oh, we're gonna go for a cheese swap here, maybe?
You know what? It's funny. I almost said the only way you get a good player picking Smallman these days is if they specifically want to do something very cheesy. If they want to lean into that. And that might be the case. And no, it's not gonna.
Yeah, Miniorek's all over that.
The swap did not take, but we ran away from the statues. I think we thought we were covered by that conversation, and we could have been, but Miniorek was smart enough to keep Smallman on the screen, which is just good general life advice, really. And that alone lets them see the quick walk away, and it's all over just like that. And look, you're thinking it's Modern. Even on 4 of 8, it's still going to be pretty tough against Miniorek. Might as well lean into the crazy and try something high risk. And they do, and the problem with high risk is you usually die.
Yeah, and in this case, I think that maybe the Ambassador needs to be in a little bit more danger / somewhere else. It's a little bit underrated how much this actual front conversation on Modern can help cover up that sort of cheese in the back of the venue, especially if the Ambassador is in danger right there. That conversation being sparse makes it a lot more difficult to cover up that statue for the Smallman cheese play. And in this case, it does not work out. Miniorek's all over it. Now we go to Miniorek on the spy side, playing as Disney. Did I not start the... Oh, no.
Oh, no. Well, it is going to be Disney. Andrew Ryan.
I game behind on my...
Rhett Butler, if you are ancient, as I have called myself earlier. Pencil mustache, which means some things to some people. Honestly, the hardest character to name, the more I think about it.
Yeah. Hold on. I don't know.
That's all right. That's all right.
Oh no. Okay.
We're gonna get our spy win chance. Right now, our spy win chance. Hang on. I know I've got it. Our spy win chance is 4 minutes and 15 seconds.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Playing it. I started it earlier because I thought I might have accidentally not started the last one, but I did. It's fine. The win chance is gonna be well ahead of the actual.
Right after I commented on your 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I made you a little. Yeah, I'm in your head.
It's fine. Everything is fine.
Our highlights coming out from Yeesh and an immediate shot. onto Kane. I need to figure out what this is, but I think we're just assuming it must have been a dump. Yeah, because you know what it is? It's the paranoia of a bar rush and knowing that your opponent is a good enough spy to go do something else, to zig rather than zag or zag rather than zig, and they're thinking, I don't think you started at green. But they did.
Terribly confused by the decision to actually shoot for that, however.
Correct. Even for the suspicion, yes. You don't need to... Well, I mean, look, we know what the benefit is. The statement shot, the I'm all over you, the I own you, psychological edge kind of shot. It has a value, but the value is intangible and the risk is tangible. And in this case, it gives... we've had a chance there, you know, to maybe really make a big difference in this match, and it's given right away.
Yeah, and now we are... I mean... This is totally a place where Yeesh could come back here. It's Redwoods, any 3 of 6, 13 guests, 3 minutes on the clock. Very, you know, this is it's not unusual set of venues with some wacky setups, you know, experimental stuff, just to see how they play out. And Yeesh, is this another bling? No, it's a plane this time. It is a plane twin this time for Yeesh. We'll get that going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Plane twin famously Yeesh's hard to say. There's a bug. Famously Yeesh's favorite character and bug, maybe their favorite mission, and Miniorek knows both. And it is over in a matter of seconds. The previous 2 games combining for maybe 20 seconds on your clock. We have spent more time setting up these games than we have watching them.
Yeah, Yeesh trying for these early bugs, but Miniorek, one of the snipers who is not going to let you get away with bugs all that often. Just finds the ambassador in time of chaos, and like doesn't have to memorize statues is the thing. Statues is off, so you don't have to watch anything else pretty much in the early game. No risk of having that cheese come off. So yeah, now Miniorek is at 6 games, needs to find 1 win more to lock up this set. We are playing as Ponytail here on the spy side of the same Redwood setup. We can talk a little bit more about it if this game lasts any longer. Let's get that going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Sounds like that 3, 2, 1 is counting down to the shot now. I need to get my analysis in as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'll note that I have a bunch of print statements for Windchant, so I can kind of look back in time on my side. That one only lasted three print statements long. And there is 1 each second at the very minimum.
And you know what 3 seconds feels like. We've all been getting a masterclass in exactly what 3 seconds feels like here. There's an early green float from Miniorek who seems determined to break the cycle of violence here and at least maybe slow play a little bit or at least stand behind a tree for a few seconds for God's sake. And that's what we're doing here. And until the suction target leaves, I don't think we will either because we have a chance to 2-flirt. And no, they go. There goes Leopard. We follow them almost immediately because on Redwoods you can do that kind of thing. You can also bounce off a bunch of people, which is what we just did. And we ended up at windows like our seduction target, but not next to our seduction target.
Yeah, one of the big things that can be difficult on any venue is flirt tracking, right? And it's kind of important that that was a little bit of an awkward... We missed the pad.
And it's too late as well, so nothing going. And the seduction target goes right back to where we were, but our old spot is taken by Buns. We're going to smash in anyway? Are we going to try? No, we're going to bounce over and around to another window. And we've used a fair bit of time, but hey, at least the game hasn't ended yet.
Absolutely. The difficulty of Sniper, of course, on this venue is tracking flirt on any venue, really. But for even though tracking flirt does not necessarily mean you have to see any kind of animations, so the trees shouldn't theoretically be all that big of a deal. I think people are just not used to tracking flirt all that much on something like Redwoods with all that weird peripheral vision disruption that the trees provide. So it can be quite difficult, I'd say. And we'll see if Yeesh can overcome that challenge in this one.
Well, meanwhile, Miniorek goes to, and I can't say center statues, it's center books with statues on either side, and we do get 2 inspects, and we do not take the book, we just take the fingerprint off it instead. So that is partial progress across 3 different missions, none of which are contact, and that could be the thing. With a minute left, we're going to need a little bit of help from the party to actually finish this. We get a flirtation at a statue, and that is exactly what I'm talking about, because we can
it's
finish our second
fingerprintable too!
Right here.
It's a silent game!
Yeah, that's exactly, because contact is not one of them. That's what we're going for here, and we're gonna get there in 1 mission site. We finish all 3 Softail missions, and that is just too powerful. No indication a shot is coming off, and Miniorek comes back with a virtuoso spy game.
Wow, that is 5 games in a row for Miniorek to lock up the set against Yeesh.
Wow. That is a statement, and if I just saw the scoreline, I might think, oh no, Yeesh is really rusty, but I'm not sure they were. Every one of those spy wins, other than the one they gave away on Modern, was just an excellent spy game that I think a good sniper on their game could miss. So I think Yeesh gave away one here, and that is a big deal, because otherwise it would be 2 games to tie for Yeesh, and still very much plausibly a draw. We'll see how that turns out, at least here, because we are going to cast the rest of these. It's going to be on to Terrace. But I think that one giveaway game right now, that's the difference between 7-3 and 6-4. And,
yeah, absolutely.
It's a big deal.
All right, let's get on into the next one. Yeesh on the spy side as queen in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Are you sure that's 3 seconds? It feels like an eternity.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm literally saying 3, 2, 1 as it appears on my screen.
I'm kidding. Listen, I know that. Let's just say I tend to move a little fast through these things, so I would not trust my internal clock.
Warning zoom.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of that. It's quite a bit of that. I've been told occasionally that I maybe talk a little too fast, so I'm willing to believe it.
Yeah, so now we are playing, of course, for some amount of tiebreakers. However, there's not really much to fight for in tiebreakers because, you know, Popke has beaten both Miniorek and Yeesh, right? So right. Miniorek beating Yeesh here and losing to Popke, it's going to kind of stratify it pretty clearly, I'd say, in terms of who's getting out of this group. It's going to be, you know, Popke in first, Miniorek in second, Yeesh in third on the group.
It's just a seeding thing, yeah. So it doesn't matter too much, I don't think. But if you're looking for, you know, how difficult is it going to be going forward, if you're looking for, is Yeesh on their game, you know, it might give you a hint, but again, I think if you look at just the score, it's going to be a little misleading. If you watch the games, there's a bug attempt with no hope of taking, and it doesn't. If you watch the actual games, I think you would come away concluding that Yeesh is maybe not at the absolute top of their game, but they're not at the kind of level you would expect if you saw 7-3.
Yeah, it's a little bit unlike Yeesh, although we have been seeing some a little bit questionable results recently for Yeesh. Yeesh has definitely been a little bit less active in terms of just casual play, and that's something that can be very, very big, especially like even to top level players who have played this game a ton and kind of have it in their bones, right? If you when you start playing against other top level players who have been more active, that can be a really, really big deal that you have not been active. It's just a problem at that point.
You can. But you can also play your way into shape, as athletes like to say sometimes, where maybe they don't come into training camp in the best of shape, but the first month of the season, they kind of turn that around, and by, you know, March or April, or depending on what sport we're talking about, that'll determine the month, they play their way into shape as the season goes on, and by the time the big games come up, they are ready to go. And that's the case here. I mentioned before, Yeesh has dominated the group stages and struggled in the knockout bracket Winter Cup. I think they would be perfectly happy if it went the other way around this time.
Yeah.
So maybe the Yeesh we see in the knockout bracket is a little more practiced from these group stage matches, because if they take care of business in their next one against Mega Parsec, that probably should do it. Yeah, we're in Michelin Countdown. We contacted into Purloin.
There it is.
There it is, in the bottom of the skirt, just below the knee, as befits a modest queen. And I think a pretty good game from Yeesh, and it doesn't really matter if Miniorek shoots there, and I thought they might hold the shot for that reason, because it doesn't really matter as much as all tiebreaker purposes, as mentioned, and it's unlikely to come down to that, but we are going to go into this last game with Miniorek as the spy, and you always got to look out for the spy styling in a game that might not mean much.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get that going. We have Miniorek on the spy side playing as Bling here. Let's get it going. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Bling, maybe, I'm not going to say my favorite character, but up there. Special affinity for Bling.
Yeah, for sure.
There's bar highlights for Yeesh again, and the last time we had a bunch of bar highlights early on, you might remember we shot Kane on Modern instead for zagging, for not being there, because that's what a good spy does, is they don't go to the bar when it's busy. In this case, though, we think better of it, and there's no one to really shoot anyway, and there's no bookcases at all to take the impulsive shot for, so doesn't matter, but it'd be nice to go out with a win here for Yeesh. Small symbolic victory, maybe. Yeah. And again, has actually played pretty well. But Miniorek, they've seen a meteoric, frankly, rise over the last year playing competitive spy party. They have gone into the elite, I think it's safe to say. And with results like this, we can see it's no fluke.
Absolutely. You know, what's interesting, we have 6 games in a row for Miniorek. Imagine if that had been at the start of the set, and we see 6-0 Miniorek to start us off. Like, that's kind of like, just to put it in perspective, just how strong of a performance this stretch in the middle of the set has been. Absolutely dominating from Miniorek, not allowing any spy wins from Yeesh while taking many of their own, even if one was kind of just
That's
given
the
away.
surprising part.
Yeah.
That's the surprising part, right? Yeah, like I mean, beating Yush's spy, it's not easy or anything, but a good sniper, can win almost any game potentially. But sneaking out multiple spy wins in the midst of that kind of domination on sniper, that is what really sets this apart. I mean, the fact that they secure a draw only from their consecutive wins is remarkable in a set of this length. It kind of snuck up on me. At one point, I went, wait a second,
that's not going to
that's a wrong arm bug. There's a wrong arm bug, and Yusha's saying, no. Look, maybe I'm a little rusty, but I'm not that rusty, and I'm, again, playing my way into shape, and that is going to round it out at 8-4. We saw two really good matches today. The second group here was Dasher, and I think our players might have taken it a little literally, given how fast a couple of those games went.
Very speedy games on that one.
Very speedy, certainly, and we had multiple time adds in other ones, so they were all over the place. But we saw a good variation of play and just, I gotta say, high-level play throughout the day.
Yeah, I really like these matches. Lots of fun, lots of activity from spies. Weren't afraid to try to do things, even if there's like slow play and there's like just not doing things. Right? I think even when the spies were slow playing, they had plans. They were going for missions and just trying to make spy wins happen, and you saw that play out with a lot of these spy wins, especially from Miniorek against Yeesh. Very impressive play from all of our players today.
Very impressive. Miniorek looking really good in that group too, has lost only to Pofke and only by the minimum. Yeesh, on the other hand, on the back foot, but can still get that third place that they need to get out of groups again, just by taking care of business against Mega Parsec. And, I think Yeesh looks good enough that they're still going to be a heavy favorite there, certainly. I mentioned group stage dominance in previous Winter Cups. Obviously not the case here, but if they can, get at least a couple of wins in the knockout bracket instead, that will put them further in this event than they've ever gone before.
Yeah, that would be big for Yeesh. And we'll have to see. The group stages are coming to a close. There actually might be an extra week based on how many matches are not quite played yet, but we'll see. We'll have to see about that. But regardless, at the very minimum, we're going to see bracket stage within the next 2 weeks, which will be very exciting. Get some knockouts threatened, I suppose.
Threatening knockouts. This stream got very violent very quickly. And yeah, look, if you haven't played your matches, make like these spies and hurry up.
Yeah, you were talking about uppercuts earlier,
punch,
right? Yeah.
Punch, counter punch? Oh, yeah. No, I planted that little violent Inception-style seed in your head, and now it's the only way you can think. I mean, to be fair, pretty violent game when you get down to it.
Yeah, bullets getting bandied about pretty commonly.
I was going to say, you can throw a bullet if you want to. I don't think it'll be as effective.